name is Renee Calder. I'm 34. I didn't realize my life was about to split into a before and after until my husband raised his glass at our anniversary dinner, smiling like the room belonged to him, and made me the joke meant to entertain everyone. It was a Friday night. Our apartment smelled of rosemary and seared steak, a scent that should have felt warm, celebratory, but instead it felt like stage makeup. Pretty from a distance, suffocating up close. We had 5 couples packed into our dining room. Expensive wine, fancy plates, people laughing too loudly at stories they didn't really care about. I sat beside Carter, 32, my husband of 4 years, halfway through my second glass of soda to keep my head clear. I'd learned the hard way. If Carter drank, he performed. And if he performed, someone always suffered. Okay, Jason said from across the table, grinning as he poured more wine. Anniversary question. How do you two keep the spark alive after 4 years? A harmless, stupid question people ask when conversation runs dry. My stomach tightened. Not because of the question, but because I saw Carter's eyes scan the group, spotting the perfect opening like a comedian. He laughed that overconfident laugh he used when he wanted to seem charming. Spark, Carter repeated, leaning back, gesturing toward me with his glass, almost spilling onto the tablecloth I'd ironed myself. Let me tell you about our love life. I tightened my grip on my fork. I could feel it coming, like sensing thunder before the storm. Carter thrived on attention, and lately he was starving for it. Carter, I warned quietly. He ignored me. Of course he did. Renee's idea of foreplay, he said louder, is asking me if I'm ready yet. The table erupted in uncomfortable laughter. Forced, polite, pretending it was all in fun. My expression stayed calm. I refused to give him satisfaction. He leaned forward as if sharing a secret, but spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. Then it's mechanical, like she's following IKEA instructions. More laughter. Monica's laugh was the loudest, high and breathy, like she couldn't believe she got to witness this. I stared at my plate, tasting metal in my mouth. Carter continued. It's the same routine, same everything. I could set a timer. 2 minutes of kissing, then straight to business. For exactly... He tapped his temple, pretending to calculate. 4.5 minutes. He gestured with his hands as if measuring something small. The men laughed, unsure whether to defend me or pretend it was harmless. The women laughed to fill the discomfort in the room. My chest stayed still. My face remained calm. Carter didn't realize he was building his own downfall, each word another nail. The worst part, he said, grinning like he'd saved the punchline, is she thinks she's good. She genuinely believes she's doing something for me. Bless her heart. Then a voice cut through from across the table, low, casual, almost bored. Funny. Actually, Renee is incredible in bed. Silence hit the room like a physical weight. A fork clinked. Someone swallowed too loudly. The air froze. Carter's face shifted through 3 emotions in seconds. Amusement, confusion, then sharp danger. Excuse me? Carter's voice dropped to ice. Shane Mercer shrugged and sipped his drink. Calm. Just saying. From personal experience, she's definitely not following any IKEA instructions. Monica's mouth fell open. Jason shifted uncomfortably. I said nothing. I sipped my soda and watched Carter's mind process it. That moment marked the beginning of the end. Carter stared at Shane, then at me, then back. You're joking, he said, voice cracking. Nope, Shane replied, expression calm, controlled. Facts are facts. Carter's knuckles whitened around his glass. Renee, he said tightly, tell me he's lying. I looked at him. The man who'd kissed my cheek that morning, humming in the shower like nothing was wrong. Then I realized he wasn't asking for truth. He needed control. I blinked once and said evenly, he's not lying. Chaos erupted, gasping, curses, a tipping glass. Carter went pale, then red, then pale again, like a broken traffic light. You, he strangled out. You cheated on me? I leaned back. Same week you were disappearing for late meetings, remember those? His eyes widened, the first crack in his mask. But before you label me, let me back up. That dinner wasn't the beginning. It was the final move. To understand why it was timed perfectly, you need to know what Carter did first. 3 weeks earlier, Carter left his phone on the counter. Alone, it meant nothing. Phones get left out. Trust had been so normal between us that snooping felt unnecessary, almost insulting. I wasn't snooping. I was rinsing a mug when it buzzed. I glanced at the screen. Lena, work. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Wear that black thing again. I froze. The mug slipped, clinking against the sink. Lena, Carter's coworker, the one he casually mentioned, the one he stayed late with, the one who really understood the pressure he was under. The messages were from the woman who apparently needed him to wear something specific. I told myself, there must be an explanation. At first, your mind tries to protect you, to rewrite reality before it shatters. Then the phone buzzed again. I unlocked it and stepped into a version of my marriage I didn't recognize. 6 months. 6 full months of messages scrolled past my thumb. Flirting, photos, plans, hotel reservations, lunch meetings that stretched into afternoons that vanished entirely. But it wasn't the cheating that hollowed me out. It was how he spoke about me. Lena, when are you going to leave her? Carter asked. She's useful, he replied. Useful? Like a tool? He wrote, she does everything around the house, never complains. It's like having an obedient roommate who pays half the bills. My hands shook, but I kept reading. Lena, she doesn't sound like much of a wife. She's boring, personality of a wet towel. I sat at the kitchen table, stunned. She thinks she's good in bed. I have to fake everything or she'd feel worse. Last time, he said, he mentally reorganized the garage while she was on top. The words blurred for a moment. There were dozens more, mocking my job, my clothes, my speech, the routines he benefited from daily. She's easy to manipulate, he wrote. I just ask, and she does it. I settled because she was stable. That's it. She was there. There it was, the sentence that changed something permanent inside me. Not anger, not hysteria, but clarity. I took screenshots of everything. Messages, photos, plans, sent them to myself, and deleted the history from his phone. Then I stood up, made breakfast, and kissed him goodbye like nothing had happened. He smiled, told me he loved me, and I smiled back. That Monday, during my lunch break, I called a lawyer. By Wednesday, I knew exactly where I stood. No kids, clear evidence of adultery, most assets protected. The house and car were already mine. The joint account held little. The lawyer didn't sugarcoat it. If I wanted it done quickly, she said, I was in a strong position. I did, but quietly. I began gathering documents, bank statements, titles, passwords, copies of anything important. That's when I noticed something else. Carter started asking too many questions. When do you hear back about that promotion? Any news on the bonus? Equity involved? At the time, it seemed supportive. Now, I knew better. He wasn't cheering me on. He was planning. Betrayal has a way of making everything line up, the lates, the sudden interest in my finances, treating our future like a calculation. I stopped reacting. I started preparing. Carter thought he was playing me. Unaware I had already flipped the board. The call came on Thursday morning, not a text. It was from Maya Brooks, Carter's ex. Her voice was clipped. Can you meet me? Not over the phone. Now, if you can. The edge in her tone left no choice. We met at a diner near my office. Neutral ground, cheap coffee, sticky vinyl booths. Maya hadn't touched her coffee. You'll want to sit, she said. I slid in across from her. She didn't smile. I ran into someone from Carter's office, she said. A woman named Erin, accounting. I heard about Carter and a coworker, Lena. I kept my expression neutral. She studied me. Nodded. You already know. I did. How long? 3 weeks. And I hadn't said anything? No, she exhaled. Smart. Leaning closer, lowering her voice, she added, everyone at his firm knows. They've known for months. They joke about it. Happy hours, lunches, office romance. She slid her phone across the table. Notes, dates, names. He spoke to a divorce attorney 2 Tuesdays ago, in the morning. I looked up sharply. Filing? Not yet. Waiting. Waiting for my promotion to finalize. Bigger salary, bigger settlement. Everything clicked. The enthusiasm, the questions, the pressure to accept before year end. He wasn't proud of me. He was positioning himself. Aaron overheard him in the parking garage. He told the attorney to have everything ready, but not to file until he gave the word. Lock things down? As if I were a vault. I didn't come because I care about Carter, Maya said. I came because I hate him. I believed her. Their breakup years ago hadn't been clean. He'd cheated then too. He did the same to me, she continued. Charm, promises, plans. Then he started lining up my replacement before I even moved out. I handed her phone back. Thank you, I said. She hesitated. What will you do? I leaned back, hands folded, letting anger turn into something useful. I'm going to finish what he started, I said. Just not the way he expects. Maya's lips curved, not a smile, but sharp satisfaction. If you need anything, dates, details, names, I'll help. I will, I replied. When the time comes, I'll ask. We sat in silence, two women connected by the same man's arrogance. Not friends, not allies by choice, but aligned. Revenge doesn't need trust. It needs timing. Carter had no idea the clock had already started. Once you see someone lying, everything becomes data. Smiles, questions, touches meant to reassure, not connect. I watched him like an opponent once the rules were clear. That night, he came home in an unusually good mood. Too good. Carter hummed under his breath as he kicked off his shoes, dropping his bag by the counter, unaware that his life was on the edge of collapse. Hey, babe, he said, kissing my cheek. You look tired. I am, I admitted. Long day. He didn't hear the warning in my voice. He never did. Over dinner, he talked about work, pressure, recognition, and then, naturally, steered the conversation his way. So, he said, swirling his wine, any update on that promotion? Nothing official yet, I replied, chewing slowly. His eyes flickered for a moment. Well, when it comes through, he said with a smile, it'll be huge for us. For us? I nodded. Sure. Inside, I felt clarity settle. That night, after he fell asleep, I lay awake thinking about Maya, the lawyer, and the messages Carter had sent to Lena. How he called me useful, obedient, safe. He didn't see me as a partner. He saw me as a resource, meant to be extracted. I stopped hesitating. The next morning, I moved quietly. I copied every important document, bank statements, deeds, titles, insurance policies, and backed up files to an account he didn't know existed. By Wednesday, I had signed a lease on a small apartment across town. Nothing fancy, temporary mine. Thursday, I scheduled movers for Saturday. Friday, I opened a new account and transferred my half of the joint savings. Carter noticed nothing, too busy texting. Maya stayed in the background, providing dates, names, and proof that the affair violated company policy without pushing. Then I made a move he never expected. I called my boss. About the promotion, I said. I need some time. Turning it down? He asked. For now, I replied. I need to reassess priorities. He sounded confused but respectful. When I hung up, my hands shook, not from fear, but adrenaline. Carter was waiting for that promotion like a heist payoff. I had removed the vault. That evening, he came home glowing. I'm so excited for tomorrow, he said, wrapping his arms around me. Finally introducing you properly to everyone. Tomorrow, the anniversary dinner, the stage. I smiled at the sink. Yeah, I said, should be interesting. My phone buzzed. A message from Maya. He's been bragging. Thinks he's untouchable. I typed back, let him. By bedtime, everything was in place. Financially, legally, emotionally. I was already gone. Carter just didn't know it. Tomorrow, in front of everyone he wanted to impress, he would learn what happens when silence is mistaken for weakness. By the time the last guest arrived, Carter was halfway through his second drink. He'd changed shirts twice before settling on one he thought projected confidence. I noticed. I always noticed. Relax, I told him, straightening the centerpiece. It's just dinner, he said, grinning. But his eyes already scanned the room, arranging the audience. People filtered in, laughing, complimenting the place, bringing wine bottles. Carter soaked it up, played host, kissed cheeks, told stories, placing himself at the center. I stayed quiet, watching. The roast came sooner than expected. He barely waited for plates to be cleared before raising his glass, basking in attention. Then Shane spoke. Renee's actually incredible in bed. Silence hit the room. I let it stretch. Carter twisted under it. Finally, I spoke. I saw your phone, I said calmly. 3 weeks ago. Lena, the messages, the hotels, the plans. His mouth opened, then closed. You left it on the counter, I continued. 6 months of texts. You called me useful, a placeholder, a roommate who pays half the bills. Around the table, people shifted, realizing they were inside something far more intimate than dinner conversation. You told her you were waiting to leave me until my promotion finalized so you could maximize your take, I said. Carter stood so fast the chair screeched. That's not. I turned it down, I said softly. Yesterday. Whatever fantasy payout you were counting on is gone. The folder, I added, reaching into the drawer, placing it on the table. You'll be officially served Monday. I figured I'd save everyone the suspense. No one spoke. Monica stood abruptly. I think we should go, she said, grabbing her bag. The room emptied in under 2 minutes, chairs scraping, mumbled apologies, eyes avoided. When the door closed, it was just the three of us, Carter, Maya, and me, watching him unravel. This is my house, Carter said hoarsely. No, I corrected. Mine. My name, my deed. Pack a bag and leave tonight. He laughed, sharp and brittle. You're really doing this? Yes. Something in his expression cracked. Anger slid into desperation. Renee, listen, he said, stepping closer. We can fix this. Counseling, whatever you want. You don't love me, I replied. You loved what I did for you. His jaw clenched. Maya didn't say a word. She didn't need to. Carter looked between us, realization dawning too late. He'd lost, and in front of witnesses. The first 3 days after the dinner were silent. Not peace, just quiet that buzzes in your ears. Carter tried calling. I didn't answer. Then came texts, long, angry, apologetic, voice notes swinging between blame and pleas. By Saturday, I blocked his number and spent the weekend moving. Movers came early, carrying boxes past his empty closet, shirts still hanging, shoes lined up. He wasn't coming back. By Sunday night, I sat on the floor of my new apartment, eating takeout from the carton, feeling something I hadn't felt in months, relief. Monday, my lawyer emailed. Papers served. That afternoon, my phone rang. Jason, the same one from dinner, low voice. Renee, have you heard about Carter? No. What about him? They fired him, he said. Escorted out of the building, policy violations, evidence, a lot of it. I closed my eyes. I didn't respond. I already knew. An hour later, Maya called, her voice tense with excitement. I sent everything. She said, not hiding her satisfaction. Screenshots, dates, hotel receipts, HR acted immediately. Lena was gone, too. That was the moment she expected gratitude. We make a good team, she added, lighter now. Don't we? I let the silence stretch, then said calmly, no, we don't. What? You helped because you wanted him to burn. That's fine, I said, but this ends here. She scoffed. Wow, after everything I did for you. For yourself, I corrected. We're done. I hung up, blocked her number, and moved on. Or at least tried to. 2 weeks later, on a Wednesday evening, someone started pounding on my door. Not knocking, pounding, the kind of sound that carried both entitlement and desperation. I looked through the peephole and almost laughed. Carter and Maya were there, yelling at each other. I opened the door before I could stop myself. You ruined my life, Carter shouted as soon as he saw me. You did that yourself, I said, arms crossed. You sent those emails. He snapped. I didn't, I said evenly. She did. Maya turned sharply toward him. You told her? I didn't have to. You're not subtle. They immediately turned on each other. This is your fault, Carter yelled, shoving Maya. You couldn't just stay out of it, she shot back. My fault? You cheated, bragged about it, thought you were untouchable. The argument escalated quickly. Hands grabbed, voices rose. Someone shoved the other hard enough to hit the wall. I stepped back, leaning against the doorframe, watching. It was surreal. Two people who had underestimated me, now tearing into each other. You've always been jealous, Carter hissed. Always wanted my life. I don't want your leftovers, Maya snapped. I wanted to watch you fall. That was the wrong thing to say. Maya's fist came out suddenly. The sound was sharp. Carter stumbled back, hand flying to his mouth. Blood. He stared, stunned. You chipped my tooth, he said, voice slurred. I laughed. Tried to hold it in, failed. Laughed so hard I had to grab the doorframe to stay upright. Both turned toward me, disbelief on their faces. You think this is funny? Carter demanded, blood on his lip. Yes, I said, wiping my eyes. Actually, it's the funniest thing I've seen in years. Something broke in him then. He stepped toward me, hands out, pleading. Renee, please. I messed up. We can fix this. I stared at him, at the man who had called me a placeholder. You want me back? I said slowly. Now? Yes, he said, desperate. Maya stepped forward too, as if remembering she was still there. He doesn't deserve you, she said. I do, he said. I looked between them, one with blood on his mouth, the other with scratches on her face, both convinced I was still something to claim. No, I said, neither of you does. They started arguing again. I raised my phone. 5 seconds, I said, then I'm calling the police. They froze. Maya backed away first, muttering something bitter. Carter lingered, searching my face for any sign. I gave him nothing. Eventually, they both left. The hallway fell quiet. I closed the door, locked it, added the chain. Then I walked to the kitchen, reheated leftover pizza, and sat at the counter. I took a bite and laughed again, not because it was funny, but because, for the first time in months, I was free.